Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. A massive first round matchup. Raducanu versus Serena Williams. Wow. It is the youngster versus the wily veteran. That is what it is. 19-year-old versus 40-year-old. Last year's US Open champion versus a multiple US Open champion in Serena Williams, and arguably the GOAT of the women's game. 23 slams. They will face off, and it's going to be a cracker. I really do think it will be. We're going to break it down tactically and look at what might happen when they meet, on top of also where the match can be won or lost. Before we get into it, though, remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. If you're listening on a podcast platform, sorry, even do remember as well to leave a rating or review. Thank you so much. Okay, who wins this now? If we're talking about a few years ago, Serena, hands down. If we're talking about last year, maybe it's Raducanu at this stage of the year. Who knows? But currently, with Raducanu not being in the best of form and Serena obviously not the player she once was, I think it's going to be a highly competitive match. Now, Raducanu, the biggest thing for me about how Raducanu approaches is how will she handle the speed of ball, the pace, the power that Serena possesses. And I'm not quite sure she's going to be, I'm not particularly sure she's going to be that comfortable behind it, if I'm being honest with you. But in saying that, similarly, Serena, how well is she going to be able to move for one? How well is she going to be able to defend, get to balls on the stretch? Again, I'm not too convinced that she's going to be able to do too much of that either. So that kind of then balances it out almost. Then, if we look at the serve dynamics, well, Serena's serve is massive, but she hasn't really been hitting her spots a huge amount this year. Raducanu has been hitting her spots more, but with less pace. And honestly, if she can hit her spots and drag Serena out wide, it'll be very awkward for her. She's not unfit. She's one of the fittest kind of athletes, you might say, of her generation, but she's 40 years of age. She's not playing a lot of tennis. Of course, she's going to be moving slower than usual. So it's going to be difficult for her if Raducanu utilizes the slice serve on the juice side, for example, out wide, drag Serena out. Even if it's on the forehand side, she's going to struggle to get something back with a lot of meaning. If she does, and Raducanu manages to defend well, then you would expect Serena to make the mistake first, because her shot tolerance should be worse than Raducanu's, given the lack of match practice and given how her game is now, which is really trying to hit as many winners as possible, but in a calculated fashion. Then, if we also look at, and we're talking about Raducanu's serve, and Serena's returning, though, could come into play, especially on the second serve return if she steps in. That's where Raducanu then needs to be clever. Can she hit a good enough second serve into the body or the backhand of Serena where she's stretching and get her in a potentially uncomfortable position? I'm not so sure. So I think we might see some return winners from Serena for sure as well, which will be a positive sign. In terms of serving, second serve for Serena, Raducanu should be stepping up, trying to attack it, trying to get into neutral or a positive place in the rally as soon as possible. Because the one thing that, Serena is not great at, I would say, especially nowadays anyway, is defending when the opponent is on the offense or on the attack. And that's just because, as I said, because of her movement currently and also age. Always looks very awkward. She will try her best to get to balls, but inevitably it'll probably be an easy put away at the net for Raducanu. Then, if we're talking about, and I think we just mentioned obviously Serena returning big on the second serve against Raducanu, she can win some points on there. But similarly for Raducanu, if she steps in on the second serve, then she should get some success. Needs to take it on high and be comfortable doing that. I'm not quite sure she's super comfortable taking the ball that high. The other thing is, well, will Serena come to the net to try and shorten the point? She might, but Emma should be able to pass her at the net, you would imagine, from what we've seen in the past. Has a good lob as well. For Serena, I mean, it's an interesting one because this is her last ever Cincinnati it's a really, really tough first round against Raducanu. Um, it's a very, very, very tough one to call for sure. And if we talk about the forehand to forehand exchanges as well, you would expect that Serena should have too much power, but shot tolerance wise, as I mentioned before, I think Raducanu should come out on top. So if she's able to with enough depth consistently, then Serena shouldn't be able to punish her by stepping in. Same with the backhand to backhand exchanges as well. Raducanu might use a slice if she can. I'm not sure whether she will use it, though. I haven't seen her use it much. And Serena will really struggle to get down that low and then hit a shot with a lot of purpose, to be honest with you. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. For Raducanu, though, what was it, Raducanu, who for me is going to be the favorite going into this because she's played a lot more tennis. She's looking better in terms of moving around the court. Let's see how we get on. But for me, it's going to be an interesting match. And who do I go with? I'm going to go with. I think I said Serena Williams in my draw preview, so I'm going to go with Serena Williams to outlast Raducanu and just really just outpowered her. To be fair, more than anything. But yeah, really, really, really good to see this one as a first round. And I'm going to go with Serena to win, but to win in 3 sets and a tiebreaker chucked in there somewhere as well. That's my prediction. Let me know what you guys think. I think Raducanu might try and utilize a drop shot as well to drag Serena to the net, then pass her or hit a drop shot winner as well. Just talking about tactics for the match. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Do remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new, and do leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or any other podcast platform. Thank you so much. We do appreciate your time, and we'll see you very soon.